One of the top things that I do and we have done lately is really focused on when we have a younger generation come in and ask questions. I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll give them the tour. I'll answer any questions they've got because without them, this is not going to continue. The classic car business could go away. Well, the hypercar, supercar market, even though it's hot right now, it's a very narrow market. The next couple of generations don't care about it. It's kind of a problem. And we go to these events as often as we can, but the number one people I want to see there are not just the fans. I love the fans. I'll stop, shake their hand, take a picture, autograph, whatever they want to do. But I want to talk to their kids and try to get them more interested in what's going on. Me and all my friends that are entrepreneurs, we all feel the same way about that.
Hi, I'm Christy Honeycutt, your host for Inside the C-Suite, where execs get real about leadership, impact, and what truly drives high-stake decisions. Today's guest is someone who didn't just build a business, he built an ecosystem. Dennis Collins is the founder and owner of Collins Brothers Jeep, a renowned entrepreneur, classic car collector, and automotive authority known for turning passion into profit and scale. What started as a Jeep shop in Texas has evolved into a powerhouse brand spanning vehicle sales, rare car sourcing, and a massive digital audience through his hit YouTube series, Coffee Walk. And here's what makes Dennis different. Dennis Collins didn't just build a Jeep business. He built a movement where content, community, and commerce collide, and somehow turned a coffee walk into a multi-million-dollar flywheel. This is a conversation about freedom, legacy, and the mindset it takes to bet on yourself over and over again. If you like cars and you love entrepreneurs, you're in the right spot. Let's jump in. Dennis, I know my introduction did not do you justice. I would love for you to introduce yourself to our guest and a little bit about what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Dennis Collins. I'm 61 years old. I'm an entrepreneur, and I started that at the age of 10 through the Dallas Morning News, which was obviously the morning newspaper, and the Dallas Times Herald, which was the afternoon newspaper. And one of the main reasons I did that is I was able to get the leads on all the cool bicycles, mini bikes, and motorcycles. And then I started using those leads at age 13 to start buying Mustangs, Jeeps, and Corvettes. So I got the leads before anybody else did.
Awesome. And so today you have, tell us a little bit about Coffee Walk, Cars and Coffee, and your Jeep store.
We'll digress a little bit. I went to UT and graduated. I did that for my parents. It drove me bananas because I was still buying and selling cars while I was at UT. And when I got there, I kind of scoped out what I thought was the ultimate place to sell cars and motorcycles. And that was the main drag across from Capital Chevrolet was the first, they call it Whole Foods now, but I believe back then it was Fresh Plus. It's the first one on Lamar. While I was still throwing newspapers, I started working at Tom Thumb, kind of going all over the map, but I trained to be a butcher. So I was a butcher in college, but while I was at UT, I was always buying and selling cars, and I'd always park them on the corner of that space, which is the ultimate parking place, in my opinion, for people to see it. And I just put my pager number on it. So I worked there for 3 years. I was selling motorcycles off of their lot. Somebody finally complained. The manager brought me in, said, "Hey, you're the one that always takes the overtime hours. You're one of my very best employees. It's been brought to my attention that you're selling cars and motorcycles off the lot." I said, "No, I've never sold one off the lot. It's only a pager number, but I do park them there because you're going to have to stop doing that." I said, "Well, then I quit." And he's like, "What?" I said, "I'm done. If I can't do that, it's not worth me being here." He goes, "You're my highest paid butchers." I said, "Sir, if you knew what my average return was on said car and motorcycle, then you'd get it." So I did quit. He calls me back 2 weeks later, tries to hire me back. I said, "No, I'm at this deli." He goes, "Another super high traffic count place." I said, "Yes, but I told the owner what I was going to do." He goes, "Did you?" Yeah. I said, he was good with that. During college, I got to do what I wanted to do. So when I graduated, I immediately got my dealer's license in 1984 and started Collins Brothers. And we've always specialized in Jeep CJs from 76 to 86. And then as the new Wranglers came out, we've always worked on the Wranglers from 87 to current day. Pretty much my whole life, I've been an entrepreneur. And one of the main drivers of that was my dad. I have 3 brothers. His goal in life was for none of us to work for somebody else. And he did it.
I love that so much. I mean, you've built a business on a brand and a life around freedom, right? Not just profit. And what does winning look like to you? What every day, how do you feel like you've won?
I don't think I've felt like that yet.
Not yet?
Not yet, but the freedom is fantastic. So the Collins Brothers brand has been around since '84. We're the largest Jeep restoration shop, classic restoration shop in the world by a mile, which I guess that's a win. I'm proud of that. And then Coffee Walk was my daughter's idea. So when I walk into the office at Collins Brothers every day, the first thing I do is I get a coffee, which I have one right now. Always have one. And I walk through and tell everybody good morning and just kind of plan my day. And then what I do is I go in my office, I figure out what is the best thing I could do for which company that day, whether it's reproducing a part or selling a classic car or buying a classic car or buying a Jeep, whatever it is. That part of my life drives my daughter and my wife crazy because I can't keep a hard schedule. Because if I have a good opportunity that comes up, especially the classic car world, you just have to go. So they're the two that have always booked my airplane trips and all that stuff if we're not driving to it. But Kelsey said, Dad, I just want to try this. I just want to film what you do. So they just followed me around for, I don't know, a few episodes, and it worked out really, really well. And we just turned a huge milestone. We just finished our 400th episode.
Oh my
And
gosh, congratulations.
it's still growing.
Still growing. So you've accomplished, I mean, and I know you dropped the bomb about being 61 years old, but you've accomplished things that people just now are kind of catching on to. You've been able to tie your business to digital, to community, which is very rare. And it's nice to know that Kelsey had a big part of that. By the way, she calls herself your handler, which I love. It's such a great phrase.
It is.
And you got a good handler there. But can you talk a little bit about that, Dennis? Because you come across to me as a very strategic, extreme mindset individual that's connecting the dots. I mean, even back to being a newspaper boy and understanding the busiest lots to being a butcher, which I'm sure comes in handy at barbecues. But how did you kind of get this and pull it?
I don't cook anymore. I did enough of
No?
that. I did a ton of it. I think, like I said, I'm 61 years old. I think the toughest part of building a brand is age sometimes really holds you back. I've found that as I've aged, it's easier to do some of the bigger deals, which is unfortunate because some bigger deals I've wanted to do in my 40s and just couldn't do it. Now we're dabbling in real estate. We haven't launched any of that yet, but we're going to in about the next probably 60 days. I forgot the question.
So the question is, many entrepreneurs today are trying to capture the eyeballs and earballs of people out there to drive profit, to drive interest into what they're doing. You've done such a great job doing that, from your storefront to how you service your clients to Coffee Walk and all the different things. So I'm just curious, how did you get there? What advice do you have for others?
Well,
Crack the egg.
I think you've got to listen to the younger crowd. I was fortunate enough that I learned how to do the video side of it because I was on Speed Vision with Richard Rawlings and Gas Monkey for all those years. And that show was called Fast and Loud. When that came to the tail end, it was time to do our own thing. But when my daughter graduated from SMU with a marketing degree, she came in and she looked at said budget, which I'll just go ahead and say it. We were spending about $40,000 a month in advertising because
Oh,
Dad's goal is to make $40,000 a month off of you within a year. She did it. So obviously doing the quick math, that's almost $1 million.
mhm.
You save it 40 and make it 40. I think you have to listen to the younger generations. I struggle with Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok. However, the show's on all four of those platforms. And I
Mhm.
get it. Back in the day, one of the neat things about the show is that's how we're actually finding our cars now. So for many years, and guys that are in automotive, this will ring a bell. Hemmings Motor News, Old Car Trader, Dallas Morning News, Fort Worth Star Telegram, the Green Sheet, the Thrifty Nickel, the Mercury Dime. I advertised at every single one of those. And my ads always started as wanted or alive. And that always caught people's attention. And I'd list the top 10 cars or Jeeps that I was looking for. That got quite expensive as time went on because then we stepped up. We were at Rob Report, DuPont Registry, real high end stuff. We don't advertise anywhere anymore other than our own internal marketing.
But do you find that it helps build trust faster and bring in more prospects versus maybe the old school way of picking up the phone or going to a networking event? Do you find that being out digitally and in the community helps build trust faster?
It does. But you also have got to be in front of the community as often as you can, as in going to some of the major shows. Like we'll be going to the Shelby Bash that's coming up in Las Vegas soon. If anybody's there, come see me. We're going to be releasing the new 2026 Shelby Trans Am car. But my problem is I can't go to as many events as a lot of other car guys because I'm constantly on the road filming Coffee Walk. Like I said, we just did our 400th episode, and the goal was to never miss a season.
Yeah.
We did 400 weeks in a row, including during COVID. We never missed during COVID. never.
What challenges came up during COVID?
It was actually, hope I don't offend anybody, but it was great for us. Because travel is exceptionally easy. But they were the rental car, we had a pick of every rental car. And it was not uncommon for us to be on a plane and either be the only ones on there or maybe there was some pilots, going to another airport. Things still ran. Fortunately, we were exempt from that because we fell under, I don't remember what the category was. We were allowed to travel, we were allowed to work. And we were automotive and I got a dealership and we were blessed that we were closed. It was a travel with me during that. I don't think anything in our lifetimes is ever going to happen like that again.
I hope not. That was a lot to live through. My son actually graduated from Texas State with his MBA during COVID. And so I wasn't able to be there and we had to do everything virtually. So they graduated virtually after all that work.
We have some incredible stories. Probably some of the weirdest ones where we'd get accosted pretty bad for traveling. Yeah, really bad. And then there were some hotels that when you got there, they would only have one floor and they would lock you on that floor. And which I don't think is legal, but they would do it. There was some really weird things happen during COVID.
Well,
But
I
it
mean, the toilet paper alone was weird.
it was positive for us in the fact that other people couldn't put on their shows anymore. They just weren't. We picked up to jump in the automotive space right now and have a show. I think would be very difficult. It can be done, be very difficult though, because we did it organically. We don't have a single follower or subscriber that we paid for, which those
Mhm.
of you out there, you can. I mean, we could have some massive inflated number, but people have been smart enough to go to the back end of it and know if it's inflated or not.
I want you to have a braggadocious moment because I think it's kind of cool. Do you know off the top of your head how many followers you have?
2,365,000, all organic. I know that
How do you
because
know that?
Zach just told me when he bought.
Because you listen to the younger generation and you're a
I
smart
just
cat. Yeah.
He goes, "If you see this, that'd be good." I'm like, "All right, I'll try." So I'm glad you asked.
No, I think it's phenomenal. Very few people have accomplished what you've accomplished, and I'm just fascinated with the fact that you tie it to the community, you tie it to digital, and you tie it back to your services. It's really rare. It's extremely strategic. And when you were coming up with that, and you took the guidance from Kelsey, is there any other nuggets that stand out to you, ahas in building what you've done? Because there's so many people that are entering that space or trying to do what you're doing.
One of the top questions, which I kinda led into you where coffee came from, but having an automotive show called Coffee Walk, people are like, but that's what we do. We start in the room with a coffee every morning, where we're gonna go, what we're gonna buy, what state we're gonna travel to, and then after we do that purchase from the seller, we always ask them what their favorite restaurant is, and that's where we go. So the show is about coffee, classic cars, Jeeps, and food, and water towers.
I have seen the water towers.
It's subtle, but we shoot the water tower in every single city we travel to.
What's the purpose or intention behind the water tower?
So people know where we are for one. And two, we just think it's cool. What we're working on right now is a coffee table book, which has turned out to be way more difficult than it should be. So maybe you could help me with that or somebody with AI can. We get a lot of requests. People just want a coffee table book of the water
Mhm.
tower only. They want a book of the food and they want a book of the whatever car Jeep was bought. Well, it sounds easy. It's really not. At least it's not for me. And I've had some people on my staff working on it and just like they just throw up their hands every now and then.
Tell Kelsey to give me a call. I might have some hints for you. No, it sounds like you've got a series, and I know that this household would love to have one of your coffee table books. No pun intended.
We'll get it done one of these days.
Well, that and can you get the Camaro that's sitting in the garage that you convinced my significant other to purchase and get that out of the
It's
gate?
incredibly special Camaro. When you see that car sell, you'll be floored. That car is worth it Ferrari money.
I think that might be going where it goes. So we'll have to.
Wouldn't surprise me if you sold that, bought a Ferrari. Something's ready. We'll get it out there.
Well, he's got to actually finish it before we get there. So she alluded to your dad wanting you guys to come up and not work for anybody, which I think is beautiful. And the world that we're living in today, the multi-generational world, the younger generation are kind of seeing those of us that took corporate roles that it's not really fulfilling our dreams. You've built a legacy, whether you know it or not. What is it that you instill in your kids that you got from your dad and how you want them to work the same
Same
thing?
thing. Both of my kids work for me. So Kelsey runs marketing. She also at Coffee Walk, but she also runs the parts department.
Yeah.
My son runs shipping receiving.
Okay.
So it's my goal in life, the same as my dad did, for them to never have to work for anybody else.
Which is a beautiful goal for sure.
But another really cool thing about my dad, he's not here anymore. He passed away about 3 years ago. was
Sorry.
he was exceptionally smart. He started at SMU at age 17, engineering co-op program, because he scored incredibly high on a test at TI. And he was the youngest person to ever retire at TI. He had his 25 years in at TI when he was 42.
That's insane.
Then he left and started his own engineering firm. And he was also an incredibly good golfer. He was on the golf team at SMU with Sam Snead and Don January. And finally, his mentor said, "Look, you got to pick a lane." And he was a phenomenal golfer. And he probably could have gone and be a pro golfer too, but he wanted to make sure he had a steady income and raise his family.
How do you define your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? What will outlive you?
Remembered as nice, honest, straightforward, good businessman, contributed a lot to the classic car and Jeep world. But I think my legacy is like most people is, my son and daughter.
Mm.
For them
And
to
that
carry.
beautiful grandbaby.
Yep. Brand new grandbaby looks exactly like his grandfather. I don't know how that happens, but
He is the cutest little thing. I don't know how such a baby looks like a grown man.
it's crazy. And he does.
He does. He looks like a little professor. It looks like he's just going to start Benjamin Button his way through life. I don't know, but he's so cute.
Yeah, that's my goal, is for him not to have to work for anybody else either. Also, I think one thing that helped me in this climate is that's basically what Texas is. People don't realize that Texas is mainly entrepreneurs. We have more small businesses than any other state. Now, granted, we got a bunch of monster ones coming in. There's always been some monster ones, but I've always hung around people that are entrepreneurs, like Stewart, entrepreneur, Scott Edwards, entrepreneur. But both them, the three of us have been friends since we were 10. Richard Rawlings, my current best friend, big entrepreneur. I've always gravitated towards that. My top 10 best friends are all entrepreneurs. And that's not why. I think we just are like-minded. We think the same.
So I'd like to dig into that a little bit because you're onto something. Because I interview a lot of CEOs. What is it that you find in common with your closest group around you? What is it that you guys have in common that's made you all successful and to stick together for so long?
What it is, we're going to research it. So let's just say I'm going to go buy something and it's
Yeah.
$1,000. I'm like, that's just crazy. That couldn't cost more than $100 to make, but I needed one.
Right.
Well, research what it costs to make one. If it truly is $100, I'm just going to go produce it. I have several friends that do that. And so, I mean, we have a large line of Jeep parts under Black Mountain brand that we produce, which has become kind of difficult during COVID because a lot of our manufacturing was outside of the US, which we have pulled back inside the US. I really like the question. I think it's, is it something we could do ourselves? Like building a building. I'll get a quote, be a number out there. Well, I'm going to go find somebody that's like-minded like me to tell me what the real number is. And it's not being cheap. We all work really hard for our money and watch it. And we also always make sure it's turning.
There's something you said layered in there if I can, because I think I found the connectivity. You guys have a strand. What I see in each of the individuals that you stated that I know, y'all are wildly curious. You want to find a way to do it yourself. You can find a way to do it better. And you find a gap. And for you specifically, and I wanted to ask you about this, you have an instinct process when you're selecting cars, which is unique to Dennis Collins. So what is it that you see that others miss? Because I think that that's the difference between the Hughes and the Scotts and the Stewarts and the Rawlings. Like, you guys see something that others miss and you lean in.
Well, I think we've all leaned in and honed it in on something that we're the best at, for one. And we stay away from things that either somebody's going to do better than us, or there's no margin there. There's no reason to do it.
If it doesn't sell, don't do it.
That's right. Test it up front. And, coffee walk, not only do I look at what I think people will like, I generally gravitate on things that are very rare. Every now and then we'll say this is a holy grail. It's not uncommon that I'll find something that's a one-off car. And how do I know that stuff? I'd rarely read any books in college. I've read almost every car book out there, in my entire library, which is pretty big, is all car books. So I just really specialize, but I also know the right people in the industry, and I don't mind touting them, that I can't be an expert in everything. So, I mean, I know the experts in the Shelby world and the Mustang world and the Corvette world and the Camaro world and all that. We are the experts here on Jeep CJs and Jeep Wranglers. So I will reach out to some of them ahead of time to make sure I'm getting my factoids right before we go rescue something.
I love it. Well, I mean, you have such a extreme mindset in that, and you have an eye. And how do you know when you're looking for these time capsule vehicles, the ones that your Frankensteins that you bring back to life? How do you know that they're it? I mean, I know you've got the passion and you read a lot of books, but is it like a gut instinct?
If I was putting a museum or a car collection together, if I could keep these, would I want that?
I like that.
The answer is no, I'm out.
Okay, so it has to resonate with you personally.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a good North Star to have.
We've got a very unusual episode coming up. It's called Picks and Shovels. I don't know how well it's going to do, but we went to 5 different cities in 5 days and bought parts Jeeps. I think people would scratch their head. Why would he do that? Well, we restore about 70 Jeeps a year. Not all these parts are in reproduction, and we got to have them. But if you do the breakdown on what a parts Jeep is worth, and I've got a really good avenue into that, it can be worth as much as a running and driving Jeep if you're taking apart and using all the parts. Grandfather told me at one point in time, said, "Grandbaby, if you don't want to ever be broke, you need either be a preacher or own a junkyard." Cool. I think I'd rather own a junkyard. So we do have a wrecking yard up here. We've got a 99-year permit on when we started it, which that's incredibly difficult to get. And when we came out here to Wiley, this was 2-lane blacktop. I think the traffic count was like 2,000 cars. I'm on a farm to market road. It's now 6 lanes, 75,000 cars a day. And we were one of only 3 businesses here. My friends thought I was nuts coming out here. It was the only place I could afford that was big enough that I could have a wrecking yard, a body shop, a car dealer's license, all these licenses in one location. And that's why we came out here. We've been here ever since.
Do they still think you're crazy?
I've got a Kohl's across the street from me. We don't quite fit in anymore, but everybody knows Wiley is like, oh, that's where the Jeep place is.
Mm.
Only thing that was on the road when you went to the lake.
I grew up going with my dad to junkyards to pull car parts for cars. We were low to middle class upcoming, and he worked on all of our cars. And so I grew up playing in junkyards and very familiar with them. And my mom too, like when I was coming up, she owned a paint and body shop. And so when I met Stuart, of course, I think most people just assume girls don't know. But when I met Stuart, he started telling me about what he did. And I love it. But I was more passionate about the interior. The interior to me is almost like the inside of a home. Like you want it to be comfortable and beautiful and all the things. And so I love what you do. And I love that you have an eye. Let me ask you a question. What have you had to sacrifice to get to where you are now?
Not getting to spend as much time with my family as I'd like to. Back in the day, early on, I missed some soccer games. I missed some basketball games. That's just stuff you're never going to get back. However, they're always well clothed, well fed, nice house.
Choice and trade-offs.
One of my other mentors early on, he goes, "Dennis, you're never going to be rich." He goes, "But you'll make enough money that you can play golf." I'm like, okay, well, I play golf once a year, but I'm planning on starting to play golf daily when I turn 75.
Why
I don't know. I just picked that number.
you picked that number?
I think that my friends that have been successful, maybe more successful than my best friends that have retired, almost every one of them, their health is terrible.
Yes, I would agree.
Crazy. And my friends that all work like maniacs like I do are in good shape.
Do you think you'll ever retire?
No.
Yeah, your friend isn't ever retiring either, by the way.
No, I'll never.
That's interesting. So let me ask you, what is one moment that people would quit that you didn't? Has there ever been a moment where most people would have quit and you stuck it out?
When you're out of money,
How did you handle that?
just kept grinding.
Kept grinding, didn't give up? What
Yep.
guidance do you have for entrepreneurs and even established leaders that are out there in our environment today to keep going or to know when to shift into something else? Like, I can't remember who it was you said pick a lane for your dad.
Well, I mean, if you're not going to risk, you're not going to get the reward. Just not. I think that's been the hardest thing for Kelsey when she's in here internally. She's like, "Why didn't we just order 1,000 of those?" I said, "Well, it's ordering 1,000 versus 200 with all the tooling costs. It's almost the same." She goes, "Well, it's going to take 6 years to sell those." I said, "You're going to sell 200 of them in 2. And you got 800 left." She's like, I said, "That's why we have these massive warehouses full of parts." Yeah, I think the most stressful thing about being an entrepreneur is the money. It's tough. And my wife always says, no matter how much money's in the bank, you're going to spend more than that. And she's right. Because I'm comfortable buying $100,000 cars, not real comfortable buying $1,000,000 cars. I will. That's tough. No, I've bought $1,000,000 cars. I just do that regularly.
No, but I'm just going to speak into existence that you're going to be comfortable buying those $1,000,000 cars at some point in your life.
Probably not.
No?
No, I think that from what I've seen over, say, the last 3 or 4 years, I think I'd be more comfortable putting $1,000,000 in real estate than a high-end car. The high-end cars do turn faster. So we're going to get a lot of pushback on that. No, I sleep a lot better having 10 $100,000 cars in the building than one $1,000,000 car. How's that? And those
That is
$100,000
fair.
cars more money than the $1,000,000 car.
So When it comes to the community, because I know you've really poured into the community and it's something you love and it's evident that you love it and that your buddies love it and everybody kind of joins in. Is there anything that you would recommend to people out there building communities, whether it be a tech community or an HR community or whatever the community is for them? Is there guidance that you would give them on how to do it authentically? Because I think a lot of people out here are trying to do what you're doing for the wrong reasons, and it tends to not bode so well for them.
One of the top things that I do and we have done lately is really focused on when we have a younger generation come in and ask questions. I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll give them the tour. I'll answer any questions they've got because without them, this is not going to continue. The classic car business could go away. Well, the hypercar, supercar market, even though it's hot right now, it's a very narrow market. The next couple of generations don't care about it. It's kind of a problem. And we go to these events as often as we can, but the number one people I want to see there are not just the fans. I love the fans. I'll stop, shake their hand, take a picture, autograph, whatever they want to do. But I want to talk to their kids and try to get them more interested in what's going on. Me and all my friends that are entrepreneurs, we all feel the same way about that. We need the younger generation to do what we're doing and be interested in it.
I think we're seeing a resurgence of like the purist, right? So you see these, I don't know if you're seeing it, but you're seeing all these photographers going back to like the old film cameras and they're going back to the 8 millimeters. That's a new thing in film right now that we were in New York talking to somebody about that. And they said, yeah, we're seeing a complete resurgence in just nostalgia, everything from documentaries to that knowing and being around the vehicles, these old vehicles that we're talking about, the hands and the brains that can take care of and mold and shape those cars, they're aging out or dying. And we do need more people. And if you look at the age of AI and you look at everything that we're doing from a technical perspective, the importance of using your hands and your brain. People that didn't want to be plumbers and electricians because it wasn't sexy and you weren't going to go anywhere. Now it's suddenly a different point of view. So you're onto something, I believe, with that. How can other people in the automotive industry pull in more of the youngins? How can we pour into them like you are?
Going along, and I'm not talking the youngest, but let's just say people in their 30s and 40s, which for me, and what this is really great in the market. I'll just use a couple of examples. Mid-year Corvette 63 to 67, first generation Camaro 67 to 69. For years and years and years and forever, the cars that were worth the most money were the numbers matching Tush original cars or perfectly restored numbers matching cars. Well, now we have a 100% different market. They want everything modern, but in the old body. And that's helped quite a bit. And the younger generation gets that. They want a Coyote motor. They don't care if it had a 428 Shelby motor in it. They want something new, turnkey, more reliable, cold AC, handles like a new car. So that has helped a lot. And the term most people use for that is resto mods. That's a big street. Like at a Jeep shop in the back, about half, there's 29 of us here. I'd say about half of us love custom Jeeps and half of us want them original as they roll off the showroom floor. And fortunately, about right now, it's about 50-50. Custom resto mod or just completely back to OE. I'm an OE original guy. That's what I like to see. Now, I'd like the custom Jeeps. We build them and we call those Jeeps Burger King Jeeps. Have it your way. Customer comes in, sits down, and tells us what we want. Now, I stopped saying, "Are you sure?" I just quit that. Now we won't cross brand here, though. That drives me crazy. And what I mean by that, an AMC Jeep needs to have an AMC, a Jeep, or a Mopar drivetrain in it. We're not going to drop a Chevrolet, an LS motor in a Jeep. Other shops will. We won't.
I liked your term, Burger King, have it your way. I think a lot of leaders could learn something from that and meeting their client where they are. So that's a beautiful thing. So Dennis, as we wrap this up, 2 more questions for you, actually. What's your favorite project you've ever worked on?
I'll give you favorite car first.
Okay.
For many years, I bought, sold, and restored Austin-Heelys. There was one Austin-Heeley made in 1958 called Goldie. And that was the car that led the Earl's Court show, which is the big show in England, kind of like when all the cars. And so the Earl's Court Motor Show in London is the biggest show where they release all the new model cars, kind of like they do once a year here in Detroit, New York. Where I'm going with that is I chased that car for over 20 years because it was the most expensive Heeley ever built. It was 2.5 times as much as a race car. Well, we prepped that car to Concours spec and went to Kuwait with it, which is one of the most difficult car shows in the world. And the parameters that Kuwait usually are, the cars are classic and they're shown by the original manufacturer. As in Mercedes was there with an original SLR, Lamborghini was there with the original, what did they bring it? 350 GT Cabriolet. They had Balboni represented. Gotti was there with some early car that he had restored. I don't remember what he brought. And they also let some of the big people in fashion there. Pierre Cardin had a car there. Louis Vuitton had a car there. And where I'm going with this, these are the biggest manufacturers in the world. Ferrari had a car there, and we won with that car. And the reason why is the judges looked at it and it's like, why is this here? Why should you win? I said, well, everything on this car is plated in 24 karat gold. Everything.
Oh,
The interior is real mink from Lorna Dern, the farrier in London. The car was just absolutely amazing. It was the first Healey with four-wheel disc brakes. Everything in the car now, which some people don't like, but however, that's how they built it in 58. The steering wheel was real ivory. The horn button was real ivory. The shifter knob was real ivory. It was just an amazing car. And I still have that car. That's one of the few
that
cars.
was my question. Where is the car today? Because I really want to see it.
It's amazing. It's in a museum right now in Auburn, Indiana on display. But when we finish our new house, which is 2 years out, it will be in the house.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
That'll be really, really nice. So that was your favorite car. What was your favorite project?
Favorite project? Gosh, I've done so many of them. I generally keep 50 projects going at all times to keep my mind satisfied. Like right now, we've got probably 11 major projects going on. Wow, that's a tough question. Favorite project? I didn't see that coming. I can tell you the most difficult project we ever did.
What's the most
We
difficult?
did a 1909 Peerless, a big
I
brass
don't,
car.
I don't even know what that is.
So back in the day, you had the three Ps. It was Peerless, Pierce Arrow, and Packard. Those are the finest, most expensive American cars. Wow, that was a difficult restoration. And they look simple. You think, well, it's a 1909 car. There can't be a whole lot of technology there. Well, there's no parts. You got to make everything. That was most difficult. Favorite project?
He's still on it, guys.
There's been so many. How about favorite current projects?
Oh, let's go. What is your favorite current project?
63 split window Corvette, crazy iconic car, 2-owner local Dallas car, very famous owner that I'm not allowed to say who it was. And we weren't allowed to film buying it. Off the road since I think about 1980. We're just about done with it. We will do a video on it when it's done. We are working on a 67 S code 390 CHP Mustang, which is competition handling package. They only made 144 of them. Those are probably two of my current most favorite projects. And then I do have another favorite car that was one of my favorite projects, but it was done 20 years ago. We got a 71 Hemi Challenger. They only made 71 of. That was a difficult restoration. And that was one that there were somebody more qualified than us or I, and I actually had somebody else do it. And then we also have, we've done Shelby Mustangs here for going on 40 years. We're good at them, but we currently have a 67 GT350 supercharged car. That's the ultimate of the 67 Shelbys because it's a Paxton supercharged car, and they made one in white. So I went around, asked those that know, and interviewed and went visited some shops, and the top shop in the country is in Oklahoma, and I knew he'd be the best at it. So this is very interesting. So out of the 35 cars, I found 2 other owners that wanted theirs restored. So we got on this waiting list and said, we only want these 3 cars worked on at the same time. So we waited 3 years, and all 3 of those cars are there being done at the same time. Why? If anybody's ever judging one and says something's incorrect, we'll be like, nope. We had 3 of the 35 cars at the same time.
That's amazing. So what I heard and what you just said is integrity, most pristine that you're going to find who can, which is probably another reason why you're so successful. What is something that you do better than anybody else?
1976 to 1986 Jeep CJ restoration.
Of course, it was a car answer.
Yeah. Oh, you want a car answer?
No, I want you to answer however you want to answer.
I certainly can't. I can't run fast. I can't even run.
All right. Well, and as we wrap up, I want to thank you for your time. I think that your leadership is very relevant at all levels. And hopefully those watching emerging leaders and C-suite leaders got some valuable insight from this. So last question, if any final thoughts that you have for the audience, anything else that you'd like to share?
No, but I'd like to say it's an honor to be here. And thank you for your time.
You're so sweet. Thank you. And how can the audience get a hold of you or go follow you?
The best way I would like for them to get a hold of us is on YouTube. Type in Coffee Walk Dennis Collins. We're at 640,000 subscribers there. Our show is on every Friday at noon. But if you need to get a hold of me, I'm at social@cbjeep.com. So at charliebakerjeep.com.
Awesome. Well, guys, you met this amazing man. He's got a fantastic business. Come out to Coffee Walk, follow everything, and we'll see you there. And come say hi to him, get a picture, and tag us.
All right, y'all. Go fast and have fun. See you later.
Cheers.